All right, class, here's your quick tutorial on getting started with the utility shed, especially in Revit 2025. So a couple new updates compared to what you see on the website here. So here's just kind of a quick rundown. First off, again, my recommendation is either use a combination of this video with the PLTW website shown here. So to get here, just type in pltw.org. You'll log in. Log in with Clever is kind of what's recommended. That way you can just type in your Google information, your credentials, and it should take you here. And my suggestion is on this left-hand side, you can scroll down, come over here to Shed Design, Activity 2.1.3. When you click here, it should open up to this. You can either hit open or it should kind of lead you into this page. All right, so I'll be using kind of a combination of this just to kind of get you going. But like I said, Revit 2025, there's been some updates, so I'm going to try to help you out with that. All right, so first off, we're going to build out some walls, floor, and a roof. This is kind of step one. As mentioned here, we're going to use a template that is already in existence. So when you open up Revit, first screen probably looks like this. I'm coming over here to New under Models, a new model. And right now it defaults to Imperial Multidiscipline. I'm going to click on Browse. Okay, it should take you to this page, English Imperial Templates. If not, just as a heads up, if you come over here to Revit 2025, this is under Program Data, C Drive Program Data. You'll come over to Autodesk, scroll down to Revit 2025, and then under Templates, and as mentioned, English Imperial, and default is the one I would start with. All right, and hit OK. Take a second to load up. All right, and my recommendation is first off, right off the bat, make sure you hit save. Again, notice Revit is a program that exists on your computer, needs to be installed. It is not something that is on the web, so there is no cloud that it is saving it to. So first off, I'm going to come over here to File, Save As, and make sure you choose this option, Project, Save As Project. All right, once you're here, suggestion would be on your desktop, you should be able to find your OneDrive. That is probably the best place to save it right here. So you can see my name with the little cloud symbol, the OneDrive symbol. Inside here, I already made a folder called CEA. Right now it's empty. I'll call this Utility Shed 2025, and then maybe I'll put my last name on there too. All right, hit save. And again, get in the habit of saving regularly. You can use the shortcut Control S, or there's the little disk symbol up here that will help you save it as well. And so as you kind of progress through this, then you'll want to make sure you keep hitting save. All right, so the first kind of step here is taking back. We already saved it. We're going to rename some building levels. That way it is consistent with what we've got going. All right, so over here we've got your project browser in the bottom left, my properties bar in the top left. Personally, I kind of like to split this up a little bit, so I'm going to move my project browser over here to the side. Again, you don't have to do that, but that's just one option. A couple other quick things here. Properties bar, if you do end up hitting this X by accident, generally speaking, just leave those up there. But if you do lose it, under the view bar here, there's user interface. And again, there's a few options here. The ones that we pretty much always keep up is this project browser and the properties bar. All right, so the properties bar is kind of depending on what you're working on. This will change. The menu will change here. On the right side, this kind of keep track of everything that we've been making. Okay, so for right now, the first suggestion is to rename these levels. So I'm going to right click on it, click rename. I think the first floor, we're going to call it floor. And it says, do you want to rename? I'm going to say do not show, yes. And then same with level 2, right click, rename. We'll call that the roof level. Okay, hit enter. All right, and what that's doing is if I come over here, let's say to my east elevation now, I'll double click on it. I can see that I've got a floor and a roof. It's defaulting to 10 feet. We'll change that a little bit later. But I'm going to come back to my floor plan view to get us started. All right, the other thing to help you out, I would always kind of use a mouse to do most of this just because it gives you some extra options. If you scroll, obviously that zooms in and out. If you push the scroll wheel down, all right, this turns into pan, scroll wheel down. And then if you want to rotate when we're in the 3D view, so in a little bit, actually maybe I'll do that right now. If I click on this 3D view option under view, you can also click on the little house symbol up here. But if I click on that, that'll take me to my 3D view. And then while I'm talking about mouse shortcuts, if you hold down Shift on your keyboard and then scroll wheel, this will do your kind of rotate. Or if you prefer, you can also use the little view cube in the top right here. This also lets you kind of do some rotation. All right, anyways, back to your floor plan. All right, so this is kind of a top-down view of your design. And we're going to start off up here in the architecture tab. So if you haven't been in there yet, top left. And like most things, start in the top left and you kind of move your way across, generally speaking. So first thing we're going to click on is wall. Under wall, right now we have the first option that's default is just using lines. So we're going to do that. And kind of while we're here, right now it defaults to 20 feet unconnected. Okay, most likely your shed is not going to be 20 feet tall. So I'm going to change this other option here, top constraint. I'm going to change that to up to level roof level. And see that my roof level right now is default to 10 feet. That's what we showed earlier. I'm going to start with that for now. Okay, and then in the PLTW instructions, remember we want this to be 12 by 16. So if I kind of let's go ahead and come back over here. We'll scroll down, how to make walls, right? And I'm going to make it the lengthwise longer along the horizontal, shorter on the vertical. All right, and to start just clicking around, I'm just going to generally make a rectangle for now. And again, notice I'm not really paying attention too much to the sizing, mainly because I just want to show you how to do that here. Okay, so once that's kind of set up, remember chain was pre-selected. That's why I kind of helped you keep going. If you don't want it to chain, then just uncheck that. Right, hit escape to get out of a given tool, the escape key. And now the first part is adding some dimensions. If I click on a wall, remember it's perpendicular dimension. So this one, once that comes up, I'm going to change that to 16. Hit enter. And then similarly, if I want to change this height, then I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to change that one to 12. All right, so now I've got my wall set up. If you want to reorient, you can select it all and kind of like push it more towards the middle. It's not 100% necessary, but I do like to stay within these triangle views. These are actually camera views that it's kind of how you look at it from the elevations. So that's how that works. All right, so we got floor plan. Let's take a look at our 3D view right now, and we've got some walls set up. All right, I'm going to go back to my east view. Again, I can select it from the tabs up here or find it in my project browser. And the next step, if you kind of look, continuing down here, I'm going to revise the height. And it says the roof right now level is 10 feet. We want to change that to 8 feet. Okay, so coming back to Revit, I'm just going to come over here to, again, I'm in one of my elevation views. If I double click now on this number, I'm going to change that from 10 to 8. Hit enter. And again, it's a kind of good idea to change it here. That way, every time I set things to roof height, it'll automatically be this 8-foot height without having to change anything else. Okay, and go back to my 3D view. I can see that the walls are already pretty set up. Okay, that's just telling you can play around with some of the views. Feel free to do that. All right, we're going to add the floor and the roof. Okay, so we're going to add floor. It says we're going to select using walls, selecting walls, and we're going to have a wood finish. All right, coming back. I like to do this in the floor plan view. Now, coming along the top, I'm in the architecture tab, over here to floor. And right now, it defaults, for at least for mine, it goes boundary line, and it just has this pick walls option. So if it's not those two, you can do that. You can also use any of these. You can just like make a floor whatever shape you want. But for us, choosing the walls is probably the easiest. So I'm going to go ahead and just select all of the walls. Okay, and right now it's kind of defaulting towards the inner part of the wall. If you wanted to push it to the outside, I just flip it, and now it's the outside portion of the wall. Somewhat up to you, but I think for this one, they do recommend setting it to the outside of the wall. All right, and right now under floor, I've got the generic selected. We're going to choose wood joist, wood finish. And once that's selected, I'm going to hit the check mark. And you can see already I've got that kind of wood shape, I don't know, pattern being shown there. Okay, in my 3D view, again, I can see that there. Okay. All right, one other note while I'm kind of looking at this, make sure when you're making your walls, these little 2 arrows are showing what's the outside. So we want the outside to be on this edge rather than on the inside edge. That's kind of obvious, but sometimes when you're making it, you'll see that show up. All right, and I think we're on the last kind of portion here is creating that gable roof. Okay, so under floor plans, we're going to go to the roof level now. Oh, we got an announcement coming up, but it should be okay. We're going to define some walls, and we're going to connect it to the top. Good stuff. Okay, so here, floor plan view, we're going over here to roof. Again, we're going to choose move to roof instead. I didn't choose that up earlier. So on that roof level, base level roof, I'm going to again choose pick walls. Over here, I want to create a 1-foot overhang, so it's not just right on the edge of the wall. And right now it has define slope selected. So we're going to start off with define slope for these 2 walls on the outer edges, the longer sides. Come over here, uncheck define slope, and then I'm going to finalize my roof, selecting those 2 edges. Once that's done, hit the check mark. And if I come over here to my 3D view now, I should see I've got my roof set up with my walls. All right. And now we want to make sure we don't have holes in the wall to the roof. So I select the walls that I want to attach. And if you want to select multiple, sorry, I should have mentioned this too. We're going to go ahead and click on one of them and then hold down Shift to select more of them. All right. And then once you have walls selected, you'll go to attach top to base. And then you select the roof that you are attaching to, and now you should have that all kind of connected. Okay. And I do notice there's actually a little gap here, so I really honestly could have selected all of the walls. Maybe we'll go ahead and do that now, just as practice. Sorry, it's actually Control to select more. Control and then click, and then let's go ahead and attach top to base for all of those. That's the proper way to do that. My apologies. All right, and finally, now that we've got all of that set up, they want us to add a brick facade. So if we come back over here, the last thing is brick facade. Looks like we're going to just choose one of the shorter ends. Don't think it really matters right now, so we'll go and do that.
Thursday, September 20th.
Right, so the last thing here, sorry if there's the announcement in the background, we're just finishing this up. All right, so we're going to come select one of the walls, come over here, we're going to choose, I think it's exterior, let me double check here. We're choosing, oh, I didn't change the roof type either, we'll do that in a second. All right, so I think we're just going to choose any one of the, so we'll come over here, just choose exterior brick on CMU, should be fine. So that turns that into brick. And then for the roof, the one thing I forgot to change up here, basic roof, instead we're going to change that to asphalt shingle. All right, and last thing, we'll come over here, check over visual style in the bottom left. Sorry, we're fighting this announcement. Sorry, guys. Again, you can change shaded, or in this case, we'll change to realistic. And that should show you the proper coloring. So you've got like your roof pattern versus the wall pattern. And for now, that's, I think, pretty much all we're going to do. If you do want to, if you notice here, this edge now, if I want to make this floor match up to the outer edge, I can edit that boundary. And maybe I'll look at it from the bottom. And now I might just like select this wall. I might drag it to the outer edge here, or this inner wall edge, something along those lines. That's a good way to do it. Hit check, and then I can kind of rotate around and see how that looks. All right, once you've got that, take your screenshot of this. That'll be your submission number 1. All right, thanks everybody.